how social media and media per se can be used to spread awareness, because that's one major part of my work. And I'm very happy to take you all young minds through this journey, and also on the way to give you some theoretical inputs, of course, because I'm also a teacher, and if I could encourage and motivate young minds into taking this further, rather than sitting just I'm a clinical psychologist, so by training, so rather than just sitting inside your cubicle seeing patients one-on-one, I felt we should go beyond looking into community and helping people develop awareness, grow into grassroots levels, and that's when the support group happened, and then we moved into other media-related aspects. So I'll also talk to you about my journey in between, and will someone be helping me with the PPTs? Yeah, so what happened is, when this whole concept of mental health came up, so there was a time in 1970s, 80s, 1990s and beyond, before we had the lockdown issue and the COVID breakout and all of that. Before that, mental health or health by itself was a big stigma. So we would go to a physician or a gynecologist if the person has anxiety or any thoughts of self-harm, than go to a mental health professional. So this was the time when I was a student of psychology. Move forward to 2020 and beyond, we see more and more people asking for mental health help, which is definitely very heartwarming. Of course, there is a long way to go. We do still have our mental health stigma, social stigmas. We do talk about why another disorder being added up. So if you read up DSMs and the ICDs, there are more and more concepts of disorders coming up, right? Thank you, girls. So what happens is, these mental health aspects do add on to discrimination. We have enough as women to be discriminated. Then we have our minority status, we have our racial status, we have our language difficulties. We have, each and every time we have more and more discriminations. The diagnosis chapa on team of that particular person who is growing up into an adult, where the person is already fragile and growing up into an adult with more and more discriminations, right? And you then look at, okay, you have depression, you have bipolar, you have borderline personality. Well, how much more can we add on, right? Okay, as students, are you able to look at that, how much more the discriminations add on, right? Of course, we look at, are they coming in for treatment by themselves, or are they being invited or encouraged or coerced? So we do also have students coming in for counseling services. How much of them are coming by their own wish and will, or how much of it is being coerced or pushed, is a big question in my mind, right? And of course, we do talk about mental health stigma being lesser now in 2025, moving to 2026. However, now, when we have to move to and meet someone in a hospital, it's okay. When people come to the hospital, they're okay, because it's part of the larger system. But when they have to come and see you in a smaller clinic or in the counseling room in a school or college, there's again, where is the room situated? Where is this place being? Is it part of the department? Is it part of a clinic? Is it a separate entity? So there again, we are looking at, who are you helping and in which place? So that's where a lot of questions come in, where we are looking at next. We are looking at breaking the stigma. And if I could request students to just read through the myths related to mental health. Can any one of you tell me if there is any myth which connects to you when you read this? Any of the myth you've heard or relatable? Anyone? Yes, can you tell me? What is the myth which you could relate to? Yes, the girl in the blue. Yes, the beautiful girl, yes. Mental health, which number is that? Mental illness is a sign of weakness, yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly, exactly. Very good. Good round of applause for her. Yes, thank you, thank you. So, mental health is not just the absence of illness. That's what WHO says, right? Anyone else? One more person quickly. Yes, yes. Ah, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yes, 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 absolutely. So I also work with grief. So when people, when we talk about grief as a difficulty or a challenge, people would say, people die, so why do you have to mourn? Why do you have to worry? Why do you have to be sad about it? Then we understand that talking about each and every emotion is very, very important. Not just looking at it as, "ये किसी को हो सकता है, मेरे को नहीं होगा." Okay, so it's not that way. And I'm not glamorizing anxiety or bipolar or OCDs or phobias. I'm looking at it as an entity which can happen to anyone. And we should start talking about emotions, right? Okay, next. So what we understand next. So what we understand is that any individual, so we do not have everyone who is an Alia Bhatt in Student of the Year. How many of you have seen the movie? Yeah, so you know what I am referring to, right? The cars and the bags and the, yeah? So we are not Alia Bhatt in Student of the Year, right? Okay. We are common, regular, Aam Aadmi, yeah? So what happens is we do have our own environmental aspects of which are worrying us. It could be our emotional baggage. It could be we had, when we woke up in the morning, there was an argument between parents. Or there was a grandmother who is not well. There could be someone in the neighborhood who's making noise. So there can be so much of emotional baggage adding on to our resources. And that would be invalidating environments throughout. It's not just one day. It could be on and on and on. And then lack of trust. We understand that trust is a very, very important aspect when it comes to foundation, right? So when we look at any kind of therapy, we need to look at one of the foremost things is having trust in the therapist, right? And without the trust, how are we going to develop therapy, right? But if you look at our own cultural aspects, what is it that all of us were told when we were growing up? Were we told to trust a stranger or not to trust a stranger? What were you all told? So now, suddenly, this person with all the emotions of anxiety and grief and sadness and all of the above, plus could also be trauma, sexual assault or any other, comes in, meets you, who's a professional, who's a stranger, of course. I have my degrees. I have, all my alphabets as degrees. But for the person who's sitting in front of you, what are you? You are a stranger, correct? So the trust is very, very important. And many, many times these are people who have trusted their parents, their grandparents, their best friends, their mentors, but then the trust has been shattered. Yeah? So how sad is that? And that's, again, difficult for them to access. It's not access because you don't have the rooms, you don't have the traveling, right? Even though in therapy we understand, or when we look at social media, we understand language, communication, words. Yeah, those are very strong points there. The words which we use, the words which a social influencer use, very, very impactful. So the words which you, young minds, are going to use when you come on social media is definitely going to 100 times affect, influence people who are listening. So it is very, very essential that you are mindful about what are words which we are using, right? Okay. We look at beyond radio, TV, because there was a time when I was a kid, I was your age, we had maximum of TV. We didn't have not anything beyond that. But then my kids who are 19 now, I have twins who are 19 now, they are bombarded with so many more, right? And I'm sure if I ask you more platforms, you are going to tell me. These are platforms which I am aware of. I'm sure you would tell me Snapchat and all the other things, right? Okay. So what happens is they are powerful vehicles. They are not just there to give some information. They're also there to influence, motivate. They are resources. They are powerful vehicles is what we would look at. And of course, we do know that psychotherapy is moved beyond one-to-one beyond sitting inside the room, beyond group sessions. We are also looking at online on how the chatbot works. Calm Headspace, I'm sure you would have heard of this. Big Yellow Fish for seafarers, we've developed that and it's doing really well. The Enhanced One, Mind Notes, does a lot of work with especially spreading awareness. So these are aspects which you can also look through, all available online. They are also helping people to get information, get therapy, and move on with not feeling that you are stuck in a place. You do have connect. And what is the next pandemic which we are talking about? Is it COVID? Is it diabetes? Or is it loneliness? What is the next pandemic which we are talking about? Yes. So we do have our phones and the gadgets, but are we actually connecting? Okay, that's the question. Okay, that is where loneliness is the next pandemic. Yeah, and that is where group support, healthy support, human beings as human beings support each other, right? Yeah, this is just a picture. Yeah. Okay, so we also understand that there are a lot of neuropsychological effects because when we do neuropsychological assessments, we also find out that not just the prefrontal cortex, the orbitofrontal cortex, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the nucleus accumbens. So people who are interested in neuropsychology, please read up. It is so interesting because you actually see in the PET scans, in the fMRIs, that these aspects, the nucleus accumbens actually lighting up when you look through the person who's using long-term usage of social media, long-term usage of games, and you can actually see their brains lighting up in the wrong way, right? And what we've also seen, the beauty of it is when we do therapy, pre and post, we've seen people who have gone through different kinds of therapy, not just CBT, any kind of intervention which is protocol-based, which is standardized, we do see neurobiological changes. And how wow is that? Because we are not just looking at art, we are not just looking at words, we are looking beyond it. So we know that neuropsychologically, all of these standardized, evidence-based, protocol-based therapies do have an effect on all of these aspects, right? So that is also the reason why social media is very important, because we are using social media to disseminate relevant, reliable, evidence-based information rather than just standing there. I can give you one example of someone I was working with. This particular lady lived in an urban city, got married, husband's family is doing business in a rural area, had 2 children. Then she was not able to adjust in a rural area, even though they had good support. She had her in-laws with them. And she found some psychologist in quotes, the so-called influencer, right, who said that influencer was high on this concept of assertive aggression. Okay? And what do you think would have happened there? So this lady said, the influencer had been telling her that you need to be aggressively assertive and you need to have conversations aggressively with your husband and your in-laws and ask them to give you your share of the money so that you can move to the city and be on your own. Yeah? The city and be on your own. Yeah? What happened was that she started believing that was what was right. Okay, where is our constitution taking us, right? So that is where we are looking at how neurobiologically we need to be also mindful that these are aspects which bring in a lot of change and impact on our lives, yeah? So what we look at here is internalizing, externalizing. We know that insomnia, sleep disturbance, hypersomnia, all of it. We also know about melatonin. We also know about eye blinking response. We also know about blue lights. I'm not getting you there. Okay. What we are looking at is that our genetic predisposition, like how we talk about intergenerational trauma, we are also taking these genetic predispositions to the next and the next level, right? Moving beyond, what happens is that, so all of you are aware of Elizabeth Blackburn, the lady who did genetic studies. So she did this genetic study to understand longevity. Okay, she got the Nobel Prize 2 years back. She did the study to look at longevity. And what she understood is, you all know about the DNA, the elliptical, yeah, all of you know DNA? Yeah, okay. So in the elliptical aspect of DNA, you have the end, okay. Those are called, the end part is called telomeres, okay. And telomeres produce telomerase, that is the protein. And telomere, we also have to understand that it could be Red Bull, it could be anything which you would want to use, right? It could be Pepsi, it could be Coke. Are you helping yourself by drinking that? Okay, so I'm not standing here as a nutritionist, I'm standing here as a psychologist. Because what happens is, each time a movie star uses that, it's also motivating and encouraging us to go and catch that can. And okay, if Hrithik Roshan can drink Coke, why not me? Right, okay. So those are questions which come in from social media. Right, okay. And we also see people wanting to have biceps and triceps and all the other CEPs, all the muscle mass. Okay, what happens is that people are also looking at injectable steroids, right? What happens is, these are steroids you can buy over the counter. So it's not just the Red Bulls, we go beyond that. Okay, just because an influencer is using it. Okay, and what happens for people who use it without medical advice is they end up being in the ER or in the nephrology or in the cardiology department, and then they are referred, right? Why do you want to wait for an adverse effect? Why would you want to help yourself in the beginning rather than in the end? Primary prevention is what we are looking at, right? Okay. Moving ahead, language development is something which we understand. A lot of people, children especially with Asperger's, pervasive developmental disorders, mostly also because one is multiple languages, they are bombarded, so the TV talks some language, which could be Hindi, Tamil, English. In the house, they would talk something else as mother tongue, Marathi, Konkani, Tamil. So there is a bombardment of too many languages, right? And what happens is, the child is getting confused. Now, do I call milk as, what do you say milk in Orissa or Odia? Huh? Kihon. Okay, I still have not learned Odia. Kya hai? Chira. Okay. C-H-I, can you spell? If your teachers also take your teachers, also for watching. Amazing way of talking about emotions, talking about psychology. We all know what happened, yeah? And we know that conversations based on art and movie definitely helps. I'll take you through some more movies. Let me know which ones you have seen, which ones you have not. Next. Which ones, what all are they talking about? Girl Interrupted. What is Girl Interrupted talking about? What is the diagnosis? What is the disorder Girl Interrupted talks about? Borderline personality disorder. So please watch. It's not the best version of borderline personality disorder. Please watch. Yeah? All right. Beautiful Mind? Yes. Schizophrenia? Yes, he got the Nobel Prize. Real life story. Very good. Next. Yes. What does Euphoria say? This, I should thank my daughter. She helped me put this. Ginny and Georgia's are time together. Yes. Yeah. So what does Euphoria talk about? Drug abuse, suicide, depression, louder. Can the mic be sent? Is that allowed? Okay, right, quickly. According to Vidya ma'am, quickly. Yes. Boliye.
Drug abuse, there was psychosis, personality disorder, OCD, depression, anxiety.
Suicide. Yes, wonderful. Clap. And quickly, Ginny and Georgia, my favorite. Ginny and Georgia. There, Ginny and Georgia. Quickly, what does Ginny and Georgia talk about?
Ma'am, so for both of them, there were two different things.
Yes,
so for Georgia, there was abandonment, there was harassment, so trauma there was there. For Ginny, continuously moving, so attachment issues were there.
Yes, absolutely, wonderful.
Self-harm was a major topic being considered. Identity crisis to a large extent.
Yes.
Discrimination was also
Super.
there.
So very good. Attachment, your students are really good, ma'am. Attachment is something which we definitely talk about. Never have I ever, another favorite of mine. Anyone? No. Okay. Yeah, quickly. Never have I ever. Indian actor there.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes.
Anxiety
Yes.
and depression.
And grief.
And
grief. Yes, wonderful. This one, I don't think you would have seen DNA. The Tamil people would have seen. Yes? Okay. What is DNA? Quickly. Quickly. DNA is about borderline personality disorder. Dear Zindagi? Quickly. Who would want to say? Yes. Yeah. And Tare Samin Par, Chichor. Yes.
Okay, it was about depression and self-harm.
Yes. Absolutely. Wonderful. And yeah. Psychologists as professionals stand here and say, this is what OCD means. This is what depression. Psychologists as professionals stand here and say, this is what OCD means. This is what depression means. We also have to understand on the other side that is not a mental health professional sitting there or a psychology student sitting there. That is a regular human being, Aam Aadmi. So the movies help us to break that silence. Okay, I started watching Ginny and Georgia with my daughter because there was a time when somebody told me, this is the only series I watch. Okay, and I thought, okay, I should know what it means for her. Yeah, and luckily for me, my daughter was on the same age and we could connect. Yeah? It also helps, that's business trick. It also helps when you are able to connect to the young generation using the language they use, using movies they've watched. Yeah, all right. This is a Malayalam movie. Please watch it. Good depiction. It's called Kumbalangi Nights. It talks about attachment. It talks about grief. It talks about death by suicide. It talks about gender issues. It talks about to all of them. These are some of my favorites. Yeah? All right. Ways to help. Now, what do we do as human beings, as individuals? And I'm sure all of us understand spread awareness, right? Understand that diagnosis, just because I'm a clinical psychologist, I think in diagnosis. That's what I've been trained, right? Move beyond diagnosis. Okay, it's not just the PTSD, borderline personality disorder, psychosis, schizophrenia. You should look at all different perspectives, not just in the diagnostic perspective, which was an aha moment for me because I was only looking at, okay, you have depression, now let's do CBT, let's do SFBT, let's do. No, let us look beyond that, right? Because that also helps in breaking the stigma. Support groups, if you can have support groups within your college, beyond the college, voluntary activities, please do it. And compassion. So what we have also looked at is, please read up on people who are interested in compassion and empathy. Read up Tania Singer. Tania Singer. It's all available online. She talks about neurobiological differences between empathy and compassion. So what she talks about is that empathy is putting yourselves in others' shoes. We all know that. Compassion is going beyond it, where we are not only empathizing. That's when the fatigue doesn't come up. We are looking at also helping them in a way where we would want them to be helped in the way they want to be helped. There are too many words involved. Please read up, because that definitely helps you to be compassionate to yourself. Are you all on Instagrams? All of you, please follow Christine Neff, Compassion by Neff. Okay. She's done very authentic studies. People who are interested to follow psychology, please follow authentic people. Do not follow influencers because they're absolutely not going to give you any marks. But if you quote Christine Neff, if you read up her book or you look at the 30 seconds which she talks on Instagram, that gives you a lot more information because she talks about her research on compassion, her research on psychological aspects, right? It's called Compassion by Neff, right? Okay. And the next. What we also understand is that digital literacy. So there are a lot of people who ask for, can you be a consultant so that, the content is validated? So we do write content for, like the Mind Notes, we do write content for different aspects on emotions, on anxieties, on grief, on relationships, on communication, on neurodivergence. We also write content for seafarers. Yeah? So what happens is that this content has to be validated, authenticated by a professional. You can't be a Viscom student or a movie star who's just writing, okay, depression means this. Would you go to okay, let me ask this question. Would you go to a gynecologist, or would you go to a Taima sitting outside your house? Taima is not your own family relative, some lady who's sitting outside, because she's also had deliveries. Whom would you go? Why would you go to the gynecologist? Yeah, she's got professional experience, she's got experience. Trust, yes, absolutely. Very good, very good. So she's got the experience, or he's got the... When we look at going to a person who's a professional, who's got degrees, who's got experience, who's got the certification, why would we not go to a mental health professional who's got all of this than listen to some influencer? Right, okay. That also helps us to understand that you need to have certified professionals. Algorithms should be helpful in giving you the right content. Because what happens is, once you start looking at something, you know this better than me. So once you start looking at some content which is not helpful, the web gives you more and more content on that. Now with AI, even with listening, you get content which would say what you are saying, right? So what happens is that your conversations are being tapped. I'm not trying to be paranoid here, then that's the reality, right? Okay. Partnership with NGOs, government, social media platforms, support each other, because words do matter, right? Okay. So if young minds like you can stand up, talk about, put posters, do your reels on authenticated information which is reliable, this is going to make you reach far and near. And you are also helping maybe 5 people, 20 people, 100 people, and as the information goes beyond, right? We also about mental health, about anything which gives the support. That's the human touch which we are looking at. Be a safe place for others, listen more. Yeah, so there was a time when I was a kid, my grandfather used to tell me that you have 2 ears and only 1 mouth. I don't know whether you would have heard this. Are you also being bombarded with advice like that? In my time, I think Vidya ma'am is smiling. So you must have heard. So Padma ma'am is also, listen, right, okay. And when you listen, the oxytocin which is produced in your body is also helping you and helping them. You are co-regulating, you are mirroring. What happens is that takes you to a larger space of helping each other, right? Empathy and compassion. So please read up on empathy and compassion, read up on giving the listening space. Next. And little bit on my journey. This was a theater which we have done. This has been running shows. We've done 7 shows so far in Tamil Nadu. We are also looking at beyond Tamil Nadu. So if Dean and others agree, and if students also agree, we would be happy to come and do the theater here. This is got full confidentiality. Nobody knows whom we are talking about. First show was for them because we wanted validation from them. So first show was for them, and we all cried because it was so cathartic for me, because they could see that their life was shown. And they were all okay to do that. And then when we had more shows houseful, we did one in Music Academy, which is a great thing for me, because Music Academy is like the opera house in Australia. It is in Chennai, and it was like huge for me when we could do it there. We've done one in Coimbatore. So there was a lot of conversation. So what we did was we did this and we had conversation. So general public was invited. So it was a ticketed one because I had to also pay the actors. So we did have full house shows, and that is where I realized media could be taken beyond just conversation sitting in the clinic rooms. We should take this definitely further, right? Okay. And that's my last slide. Just one more, that's my team, just one more. Yeah, so there's a lot of research and which I've taken. This is my team, all women in my team. Somehow the psychologist group is skewed towards more women than men. We had one man who came and he moved on to New Zealand, so it's all the women gang up there. Right, so that's where my journey is. And I would definitely request all of you young minds and senior professionals sitting here to use media. Do not shy away from Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. Please be mindful that whatever you're posting, whatever you're sharing is relevant, evidence-based, and is going to help you and whoever your fellow friends are in the right way, in the healthy way. So having said that, all the best and thank you very much.
The floor is now open for questions. So, kindly raise your hands. Mics will be brought to you.
Since people are watching more movies, they are more active on social media, they are now more aware of certain psychological terminology. So I have seen a lot of people, if someone is a perfectionist, they are like, oh, I have OCD. If someone has a shorter attention span, they say, oh, I have ADHD. So I feel like this leads to the dilution of psychological terminology. So what do you think can be done to prevent this?
Absolutely. So there was a time when people were talking about, I have leprosy, I have cancer. So now we've moved to, I have ADHD, I have depression. Okay. You see, those are the phases in human population, the life. Okay. Right now we talk more about mental health. People are using more of those fancy terms. I'm so OCD, I'm so bipolar. And as a professional, I get very irked because you are losing that. You can't just loosely use and say that, you know, I have bipolar and I have OCD and all that. What we need to understand, one, is not to normalize that. We cannot trivialize and normalize word usage of these words. That's where the awareness comes in. Okay. It is a double-edged sword. One is conversations about these, using these terms, would help people to normalize and regularly hear. So when the leprosy and the cancer campaigns happened, when people talked about cancer, people were not as affected by this diagnosis of cancer. Now people can say, I have cancer. Excuse me, Mr. Gentleman, can you please move? Yeah, thank you. So when you said cancer, people were okay, and later on people are okay to hear that as a term. One way of looking at it is people would be okay when, you know, when they hear words like OCD and bipolar. Then the other side of it is you should not be misusing it. Right, okay. That's where the fine line of where is the use versus misuse comes in. Right, very relevant question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
Thank
afternoon.
you for such an insightful presentation.
Thank you.
So, as psychology students, since the very beginning, we are taught to, working on ourselves is very important.
Yes.
In order to become an effective clinician.
Yes.
But then, despite of knowing certain coping strategies and techniques, we fail to apply it on our lives. Like when, especially in situations when we are emotionally overwhelmed or indecisive. So my question is, how can we apply those techniques and strategies in order to manage everything in our day-to-day life and especially our emotional turmoils, challenges and stress?
Right. Okay. So I'll tell you one example which I'm borrowing from this theory of acceptance commitment therapy. So what Stephen A. says is if there are two mountains, okay, and you are climbing one mountain and somebody else is climbing the other mountain, yeah? So you have your challenges, you have your travel gear, you have all, you know, whatever is required to climb this mountain. The view from your mountain to that mountain is different. And the view for this man from this mountain to his mountain is different. Yeah? The view which you have for that person is much better. Okay. This person who has a better view of the other mountain is the psychologist. Yeah? The psychologist also has their own challenges. Learning, your going up the mountain becomes easier. And you're also able to help the other person. And that is where when we look at, right, you need to be healthy to help the other person. So your practice of maybe 5...
mental health disorders from when I was pretty young. And it has been shown from the time when movies wouldn't in general talk about it.
Yes.
So a lot of times such sort of movies, they're either shown in two ways. Either they're showing the reality of it, or they romanticize it.
Yes.
Now, one recent movie, Sayara, that came out, where they were talking about Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Now, I have personally seen how Alzheimer's do affect people.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that movie has romanticized it.
Yes.
The same thing that happens with
The English movie started it.
Yes, the same thing that happened with mental health disorders, for example. Now, there they're showing the reality of it.
Yeah, correct.
Same movie was depicted in, I've seen a Hollywood movie and they've romanticized it there.
Right.
Where it makes it seem like the girl is dating multiple guys, but it's just this one man with multiple personalities.
Yes.
Now, romanticizing it has an effect on society, and there is showing the reality of it. People always tend to go to the romanticized version of it.
It is like the Kabir Reddy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kabir, what is it? Kabir Singh
Kabir
version
Singh,
of it. Yes. Ah.
So they obviously go for the more romanticized version of it. And now we see a lot more people kind of moving away from it. And even if they're going towards mental health, it's like in a very romantic way. How do you address the situation like that?
That's where, again, I think the thin line between where is reality, where is glamour, where is the romanticizing of all of this comes in. And that's why I'm glad that there are so many students here, psychology students, who are also interested in taking this further, helping people understand. So work with people in the media. Let them know. Yeah, when they are in doubt, you let them not just use, okay, I think this is what a personality disorder would be. I think this is what schizophrenia would be, right? Okay. Then let them understand that what they have conceptualized may not be the truth. Okay. Let them discuss. So if you have friends in other departments, tell them that, this is how it works. Yeah. And of course, the awareness. And we do need media to spread the awareness. Let them spread authentic, healthy information. Yeah? Right. Thank you. I think sir has come. Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Due to a time constraint, we will be not taking any questions any further.
Thank you, ma'am, for that inspiring address. We now request Father S. Anthony Raj S.J., Registrar Exime University, to present ma'am with a memento.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As we enter the valedictory session of the significant conference, we extend a warm welcome to our Honorable Registrar, Father S. Anthony Raj S.J., Dr. P.V. Padma, Dean, School of Liberal Arts, distinguished guests, faculty members, participants, and students who all have contributed to this intellectually rewarding performance.
To formally commence the valedictory session, we now invite Dr. Nazia Arif to deliver the welcome address.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to Father Registrar and all the respected dignitaries of the dais. It is my great privilege to welcome you to the valedictory ceremony of the international conference organized by the Department of Psychology, School of Liberal Arts, Exime University. Today, as we draw this remarkable event to a close, we have much to celebrate and reflect upon. I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to Father Registrar for his presence and continued support during this conference. This event, we are not only concluding a series of thought-provoking discussions, but also marking the beginning of continued collaborations. Over the past 2 days, we have shared knowledge, exchanged insights, and built connections that transcends borders. This conference has brought together experts from across the globe, and the conversations we have had have undoubtedly paved the way for new possibilities in exploring the psychological impact of societal transformations by shedding light on its challenges and opportunities. Once again, welcome and looking forward to more such inspiring and engaging events ahead. Thank you.
Thank you for those thoughtful opening words, ma'am. Before proceeding, we have arranged a special cultural presentation as a small celebration of creativity and talent.
We hope you enjoy. We hope
and thematic sessions and the sub-thematic sessions for coming into XIM University to be part of this exercise. I also thank the student volunteers, the organizing committee members who have put in a lot of hard work. I was not physically present, but thanks to the YouTube links, I was able to follow bits and pieces of what had transpired in this venue in the last 2 days. And coming as I am, as a student of society as well as a certified counselor, the topic, I'm sure, was very contemporaneous, relevant, especially given the disruption in all these sessions as to how they pose this psychological threat. All these stressors, all these dramatic changes that you and I go through, all these stressors, all these dramatic changes that you and I go through, we only respond to a threat. That is my first observation. My second observation, in order to continue the conversations that have begun, this should go on. This is just we have set the space for it, is to look at all that we have looked at during these sessions through the lens of intersectionality. In the sense, we all know what is intersectionality, we all, like for example, as students of psychology, we know that we hold multiple identities. We are aware of that. And how unique challenges come at the intersection of these identities. Therefore, when we look at, as a privileged lot, you and I, we are a privileged lot in even to have this luxury of having, these sessions. When we look through the prism of intersectionality, say, for example, what could be the maladaptive or adaptive coping mechanisms can a Dalit, physically challenged, Muslim, single mother in a rural area face? That's a challenge. How does a rurally based, physically challenged, Dalit single mother face this dramatic social change? How does she cope up psychologically as an individual and as a member of a community with these dramatic changes? Possibly this is a question that should disturb us, should call for further conversations. Thank you. God bless us all.
Thank you, Father Registrar, for the thought-provoking address.
It is now time for another significant milestone of the conference. We now call upon Dr. P.V. Padma, Dean School of Liberal Arts, to present the conference report, which encapsulates the principal themes, deliberations, and outcomes of the event. Ma'am,
please. Respected Father, Reverend Father Dr. K.S. Casimir, Vice Chancellor, Exime University in absentia. Respected Reverend Father Anthony Raj S.J., Registrar, Exime University. Respected Dr. Kirti Pai, Clinical Psychologist and Mental Health Advisor, Apollo Shine Hospital. Esteemed plenary speakers, guests, participants, deans of other schools, faculty members, and my dear students. I'm delighted to stand in front of you to deliver the report of the International Conference on Exploring the Psychological Impact of Societal Transformation, Challenges and Opportunities, organized by the Department of Psychology at the School of Liberal Arts, Exime University. The conference began with a pre-conference session on art-based therapy conducted by Dr. Janani. The session highlighted how creative practices such as music, movement, anxiety, and uncertainty often coexist with resilience, creativity, and adaptation. Professor Ofra Alter addressed the impact of generative artificial intelligence on education, emphasizing both its possibilities and risks, and stressed the need for ethical, human-centered integration that supports deep learning and well-being. The technical sessions on day one featured participant research presentations on contemporary psychological concerns, including social media usage, artificial intelligence, cognition, and mental health. Overall, the sessions highlighted how social and technological changes simultaneously challenges the psychological well-being while fostering resilience, adaptation, and ethical responsibility. On the day two, the plenary sessions of the day two began with Dr. Philip Armstrong, who examined how changing gender roles, economic pressures, and policy shifts are reshaping men's mental health and why distress is often expressed indirectly rather than through help seeking. Professor Baswati Patnaik explored the loneliness and alienation emerging from the urbanization and technology-driven communication, particularly their effects on children and family life. Dr. Basuki Mativanan focused on the challenges faced by early career mental health professionals and highlighted the importance of supervision, adaptability, and emotional resilience in the contemporary practice. Dr. Kirti Pai concluded the plenary session by discussing the role of media in shaping public understanding of mental health and the need for responsible narratives to reduce stigma, especially around personality disorders. The technical sessions on the second day showcased research presentations on therapeutic approaches in healthcare, psychological impacts of the pandemic, workplace support systems, neuroplasticity in trauma healing. Collectively, the discussions demonstrated how evolving gender norms, urban lifestyles, occupational challenges, and media representations collectively influence the psychological well-being and public understanding of the mental health. The conference provided a comprehensive examination of the psychological implications of societal transformation, technological advancements, and shifting professional contexts through both plenary and technical sessions. It highlighted the importance of resilience, ethical practices, and evidence-based strategies for enhancing mental health and well-being. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Vice Chancellor and the Registrar who have been unwavering pillars of support for the School of Liberal Arts in all its endeavors. I also extend my sincere thanks to the plenary speakers who accepted our invitation and contributed to making this conference academically enriching. Additionally, I would like to thank the faculty and the students of the Department of English for their support and presence. I am especially grateful to my co-convener, Professor Vidya Pujari, along with the organizing and scientific teams, Professor Nehaja, Professor Abdul Karim, Professor Nazia Arif, and Professor Asha, without whom this conference would not have been possible. Finally, last but not the least, I would like to thank my students for their active participation in making this conference a success. I declare this conference closed and looking forward to seeing everyone again in 2027. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. To formally conclude the conference, we will foremost, I express my sincere gratitude to our chief guest, guest of honor, and keynote speakers for sharing their invaluable insights and enriching the conference with their knowledge, experience, and inspiring perspectives. Their contributions have added immense academic and practical value to our deliberations. I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the invited speakers, session chairs, panelists, and presenters for their thoughtful discussions and scholarly contributions, which made each session meaningful and engaging, both online as well as offline. I am deeply thankful to the university authorities of Exam University, especially our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Father Dr. K.S. Casimir, S.J., Honorable Registrar, Father S. Antony Raj, S.J., and Dean, School of Liberal Arts, Professor P.V. Padma, for their constant encouragement, guidance, and support in organizing this conference. I thank all the participants and delegates for their active involvement, insightful questions, and enthusiasm, which truly made this conference a success. My sincere appreciation goes to the organizing team, research team, faculty coordinators, student volunteers, and support staff, whose dedication and teamwork ensured the smooth conduct of the event. I would also like to thank the IT team of Exam University and School of Communication support team for the live streaming of all the sessions diligently. I also like to thank the Illuminatics team for the support in still photography. I also like to thank the dance performers who are our first-year psychology students for a delightful show. Last but not the least, I take a moment to thank the Almighty for showering His blessings on the first event of the department at the start of the new year. With this, we formally come to the closing of our two-day international conference, and once again, I thank everyone for their kind presence and hearty support. Wishing everyone present here a great year ahead. Thank you. May God bless us all. We would like to inform all the participants that the certificates are available at the registration desk just outside the mini auditorium.
We now request that all the dignitaries, delegates, and participants assemble on the stage for a group photograph. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.